Hey, you want to see something really scary?
What's your favorite scary movie?
I'm gonna scare the hell out of you.
What was living behind that boy's eyes was purely and simply evil.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
When there's no more room in hell, the dead will walk here.
What's blood for, if not for shedding?
Welcome to Fright Night.
Welcome back to the Jump Scare. I'm Betty.
And I'm Chad.
This week we're covering Screamboat.
Welcome aboard the Staten Island Ferry.
This boat is cursed. We're all going to die.
You said that last week and the week before.
I heard stories about a monster that lurked in the underbelly of the ferry. Steamboat Willie.
That's gonna make one fucked up cartoon someday.
Come quick! Everything is not cool. We have a huge rodent problem.
What the fuck are you?
It was like a demonic rodent with shorts and a hat. Maybe it wants some cheese.
I said we toss his ass overboard.
Our world is fucked. Willie's world is the happiest place on earth.
It is a small world after all.
This film is not part of the Pooniverse.
Yeah, the Pooniverse. That's fucking... They had to know how that sounded, right?
It's its own thing.
Yeah.
And who would have thought I'd be watching a movie that had the boat that Pete Davidson and Colin Jost own?
Yeah, I remember they even made a joke about that on Saturday Night Live. But I'm not allowed near the checkbook anymore.
Yeah, you don't even... Okay, first of all, how did... I need to know, because this is what I'm going to ask this individual. How did Art the Clown get involved?
Yeah, now, this movie is, of course, one of those things where Steamboat Willie went into the public domain this year. The classic cartoon that introduced Mickey, even though he wasn't called Mickey yet. He was just Steamboat Willie. And that cartoon went into public domain this year. So, of course, they are cranking out horror movies based on it. And they lean into the puns hard. We'll get to that later. But, yeah. So, this movie as Willie. I don't think they don't call him Steamboat because this is not actually a...
As well, he's on the steamboat.
Yeah, he's on the steamboat.
So Willie is played by David Howard Thornton.
Yeah, who plays the Terrifier. Plays Art the Clown in the Terrifier. And I have to think a lot of the budget of this movie went for the boat and for David Howard Thornton.
For sure. And look, his performance was fine. I wish the makeup was just a little better.
Yeah.
And I know that it's an indie film. And it's going to be better than most in the end,
yeah,
more than likely. And then also there are copyright. Just because it went into public domain doesn't mean they can make it look exactly like Mickey Mouse.
Yeah.
So you have some things against you, but I feel like there is a way to do it where it doesn't look like maybe someone just stuck fur on someone's face. It just looked a little messy.
Yeah, and I kind of wish too, instead of making him... They tried to make it where he was small, like he would be like rat-sized. So a lot of it was him against a green screen and then a puppet attacking the people, like, you know, jumping on them, biting them, or whatever. I wish they just made him human-sized.
No, I disagree. If he was human, that would be impossible. If he was human-sized...
Oh, I'm sorry, but the regular rat that can run the steamboat is perfectly plausible.
No, but okay, so two things. I don't know, as an ex-New Yorker, I don't appreciate you think that there's rats the size of human beings walking around out here that no one's going to get freaked out. And how do you hide something like that in a boat? The boat, yeah, it is a large boat, but it's not like you're going to be able to hide a life-size rat First, wearing a damn, like, hat. He's wearing, like, a top hat. There's no way, okay? And he's naked, but he has, like, I don't even know, shorts and shoes.
Yeah.
So
he has the Mickey outfit on.
There's no way. But he's gray. I do like...
Because he was in black and white.
Exactly. The attention to detail. And also later on in the film, which we both agreed this should have been the whole film.
Oh, yeah. Why is no one doing this? Do an entire... In the middle of this film where they explain the origin of Willie, there's a whole...
Of course, by an old drunken man.
Yeah. As
you know.
As tradition in horror movies, there's always an old drunk guy that explains everything. I would like to see a whole animated movie in the black and white in the old style like that with Willie, but it's just that's the horror movie version of it, you know. That was the best part of this for me. I love the animation style, and I loved them showing like that's how they tell his origin is in that thing. I thought that was great.
I also enjoy that now we have New York has another maniac on the loose, and that's Steamboat Willie, because you know we had Jason Voorhees who came from a lake.
Yeah. Because all lakes in New Jersey lead into the ocean that takes you to New York.
But so now we have, and you know what? He at least keeps the killing like on the seas. He's not stepping off the boat, because then he's like Streetwise Willie. Like, what is he?
Oh, that's a cartoon right there. Streetwise Willie.
Streetwise Willie.
So New York already has problems anyhow. You got Jason going there. Let's not even get into the chuds. Okay, the sewers are overflowing with chuds.
No, we leaving the chuds alone.
There's the crazy people from And God Told Me To that run around in New York. There's the Quetzalcoatl monster from Q who's running around there. What was the other? That was in Florida. The It's Alive creatures. Well, there was one in New York. There's all kinds of shit in New York. I'm just saying, a rat walking around in New York that was 6 feet tall. Oh, the mimic monsters were in New York. A giant rat walking around with a pair of shoes and shorts on would not freak people out in New York as much as you think.
I don't know. I disagree, only because it would be like horrifying.
I think they're desensitized to it.
You think so? They'd just
be
there just eating their fucking hot dogs and roasted peanuts on the fucking corner. Here comes a big ass mouse.
They'd be
rat.
like, this fucking guy. Trotting around like he owns
a job.
Boat. Yeah. Go back to wherever you came from, Steamboat Willie.
The Steamboat. So, yes. Now, you know, of course, you can't have a movie like this and not have your little, like, nods, you know, or fuck yous, however you're going to see it, because they decide, you know what? What would someone encounter in a ferry that's going from Staten Island to New York or vice versa, or anywhere from New York? You're going to encounter a party of young, wild women. Either they're celebrating a bachelorette party, or if it's a birthday party. And that's exactly what we get. And each girl is dressed like the horse version of a Disney princess. And I wasn't even mad, okay? I wasn't even mad about that. I was like, okay, I see what you did there. I appreciate it. And
and there were princess puns a-flying.
No, the princess puns were a little too on the nose. Maybe just do like one or two, but not make it like, oh, we're gonna have like 10 throughout the whole fucking like sprinkled here and there, because they get corny real fast. It's
and I did love that the original captain of the Steamboat's name was Walter. Everybody called him Walt.
Oh my gosh, yes. They were just all little things like that. And, you know, of course you can't have a movie without a centralized plot, right? So here we have the young woman who has dreams, and she's come from a smaller state, and she doesn't know if she's going to be able to make it in New York.
Was she just a small town girl who took the midnight train?
Yes. And she wants to be a fashion designer, because of course she does. And she's just hopping on. I mean, she's coming off from a shift because she's a bartender, right? She was tending bar somewhere. Bartender.
And she had the unfortunate, she ran into the people at the birthday party.
Yeah, or no, she tended to them.
Oh yeah, they decided to follow her.
And then they stalked her and followed her onto the boat. And she tries to avoid them the entire time. But, of course, the boat can only be so large. And then you have just random boat. You have the drunken, elder man. You have the mother with the child.
The kids that are just making out through the whole thing.
Yeah. Were they kids? They seem like maybe they were...
They're supposed to be kids, but like all these movies, the kids look like in their mid-20s.
Oh, God. I hope those are not supposed to be... I thought that was just like a Guido and his chick. Like, that's what I thought was happening there, but okay. So we have that. We have the loner guy who doesn't want to be bothered and he doesn't want anyone to tell him anything. He's going to do whatever the fuck he wants, but he's not going to respond to you because he could care less about what you think.
And then we have the girl that she was getting on the boat. I said, I think we're going to see her boobs before this movie's over.
And we did. We did see her
pretty
boobs.
Obvious. It was like, oh, this is the girl that's going to get naked for the movie right here. That's her. Yeah, we were right. I was right.
Yeah, no offense to the girl. You did a great job. It was very believable. You were going to be the one that was going to show your tits. We believe that. And you should win an Academy Award.
Now, besides David Howard Thornton, there's some other people in this you would recognize. We have Tyler and Jesse Posey, the brothers who have both been in Teen Wolf and a lot of other things. And Jesse Cove, the son of Martin Cove, who plays the evil sweep-the-leg Johnny Sensei in the Karate Kid movies and the Cobra Kai TV show. So it was good to see that guy. I kept thinking he looked familiar, and I'm like, he looks familiar. Why is it? Oh, yeah, because he does look like his dad. And even kind of sound like him a little bit. So, yeah, that was fun to see him in there. And, yeah, this goes pretty much like you would think. They go out for a little bit. The mouse gets freed, like right at the very beginning. You see that Steamboat Willie, or Screamboat Willie, gets freed from he's been imprisoned down underneath the boat in a little, I don't know, like oil hatch or something down there. Some bullshit that they came up with that didn't really matter, but just needed to be. He's been locked in there now for 90 years. Wink, get it? 90 years, just like the copyright.
Oh my gosh. And now they've unleashed him. It was like the beginning to Wishmaster. So if you saw Wishmaster, which I'm pretty sure also was set in New York, I may be wrong, but I remember it may have been New York.
Yeah.
He gets unleashed, and then of course Havoc prevails. And you don't really find out until like, I don't know, the last 20 minutes. Oh, because let me just throw this out there. If you wanted to see the longest film that has come out so far, horror-wise, in 2025, this is the one for you, okay? Because this should have been no more than 80 minutes.
Yeah, although generally I liked the movie and had fun with it, it was about 20 minutes too long. They could have easily trimmed a lot of this out, and I think it would have made it a lot more fun if it, it would float a little better if they cut some out of it.
Yeah, no, it was way more than 20 minutes long. It should have been 85 minutes long at the most. It's 142 minutes. That's insanely long. But I feel like it wasn't because of the story, because they really could have just pretty quickly cut to why, not the fact that why he was unleashed, but why he was on a rampage, which I did not see that coming. So plot twist. But then again, I'm not like all about Disney, so maybe I lost that because it didn't even come to mind. That he was searching for his long lost love. Wink,
of course he was.
Minnie Mouse, and that's what got him into he was mad horny, basically. He was so horny that the main chick, she's just wearing a purse with polka dots, and he starts getting the lovey eyes and is in love because, of course, that he's like, oh well, there's Minnie, because she has the polka dots and Minnie loves polka dots. But I'm like, this is a human woman that's like 5 times your size. She is not, obviously, she's not Minnie. But okay. Core memory unlocked for him, I guess.
He was like, yeah, I got to get with this woman immediately. She's also like the second person I've seen since I came out of this pit. So obviously I have to be with her. It's the whole Michael Myers thing. Just get fixated on one that you see and go, I'm going after her.
That's true. That's exactly what happens. And, then you have to have every kill. And, of course, the kills are gory. You know, they're all obviously going to be surrounding around where they're at. You know, they're going to be those kind of kills. And there's a lot of people and I think that's why there's the time is just 142 minutes.
No, an hour and 42.
I'm sorry, an hour and 42 minutes.
142 minutes, we would still be watching this movie.
It felt like 142 minutes.
Yeah, that would be like,
at
whoa!
Some points. Damn it, man. You just totally, like, lost.
You said there was a lot of people in there.
They spent their whole time killing everyone is basically what it comes down to.
But they did at some point, I guess they realized there's way too many people on here that it would be like, okay, this mouse is like 2 feet tall and we've got 30 people on this boat. They could just rush him. At some point, he can't get all of them, you know? Mm-hmm. So that's when he pulls the ultimate murder trick and just murders like an entire cabin of people at one time by electrifying the floor.
Yeah, he sure does. And let me tell you, I didn't even feel bad about... There was only one person really I felt bad about that died, but...
The single mom?
Yeah, of course. The single mom. Yeah, because her kid got left behind. He didn't seem too bothered by it. I don't even actually remember him crying, but okay. Whatever. I thought... Well, actually, she wasn't a single mom because in the end, the father's the one that got him.
Well, she was alone with him there, yeah.
Yeah, she was alone with him there. So... I just, you just don't know where this is going to go. This is probably better than most. I don't want to...
I haven't seen a lot of the others, but I saw part of Blood and Honey, and that was enough to convince me I didn't need to see all of Blood and Honey.
But out of that universe, so, maybe it's a standalone. Maybe that's what helps it. Who knows how many of these we're going to see? Because I feel like there's more than just this one. And there's at least 2 or 3.
There's another couple of these around too. I wish they would do like, why do they have to go the horror movie route with all this? Couldn't we do a Steamboat Willie? We've got the rights to it. Let's do a comedy parody or satire of some things where we make fun
Titanic,
but Titanic, Willie. Could do that, or make fun of Disney in some way with things, like use their own property against them. That's kind of a fun idea.
Ooh, kind of do like a Naked Gun scenario, but Disney wise.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Or Police Academy.
Yeah, make fun of Disney with all their stuff. Get as many of the public domain characters as you can and put them in there and make them like that's the Police Academy. They're opening a new theme park. Here's all the characters. It's all the public domain people. Winnie the Pooh is going to be there. Popeye.
Yeah.
All these people are going to be inside the park.
Because still, and to some degree, they'll still be seen in a good light. And people just want to just ruin everything. They're like, oh, you love this? This is part of your childhood? Oh, you still love this as an adult? Fuck you. Now it's a horror thing. And we're going to make it horror and gory. And we're going to make it do despicable things. And also they may just hate like Disney and the concept of Disney altogether. So,
they do have Willie do some crazy things in this movie.
He sure does.
In terms of kills, this reminds me of one of those straight-to-video slashers from the 80s where they were just constantly trying to one-up each other with different things.
There were some throwback kills that I was like, oh, that happened, in Friday the 13th, or oh, this happened. Like, you do see some kills that you've definitely have seen before in other movies, like, this particular, but it's the fact that he's just so small, and I get it, but that's some of the kills though. It's like it's funny, but then some of the kills are like, oh, it's ridiculous. It's like the whole thing you told me about Tony Todd and like Chucky.
I saw a thing with Tony Todd at one of the conventions one time. Someone asked him like, "Is it true you were going to do a crossover? There was a crossover with you and Chucky, or they talked about you and the Leprechaun?" And he was like, "Please, I kicked those little bastards across the room in the first 5 minutes of the movie. What's the rest of the movie about?"
Him going on a date.
Him buying diapers for the baby.
Yeah, buying. That's exactly you. If you haven't listened to that episode where we discuss
talk about how did the Candyman take care of that baby? I still can't picture him going into Walgreens with the hook and buying the diapers.
He was going on Rite Aid. Yeah, he was.
He was in Chicago, yeah. So they're going to Rite Aid or someplace like that. To the Rite Aid, 3:00 in the morning. They don't give a shit. You come in with a hook covered in blood and bees. They're just like, another one.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you what. He came in there with that fucking fur coat, they were like, he's a pimp. They just averted their eyes down and was just like, take the money and don't even give any eye contact.
He just walked in, picked everything up, and walked out, and they were like, "Don't, it's not worth the fight."
They didn't even see the honey or the bees.
No, they just walked on by.
They just saw a 7-foot man walking in with a fucking fur coat in the middle of the night, looking like he was about to slap
everybody in there.
And he,
just walked out with his diapers, and that was that. Yeah, I can believe that.
How much are these hoogies?
In the Super they're like, they're free. They're free,
they're
bro.
Free.
Just take them. Just take them. Don't kill anybody with a hook in here, please.
Much obliged.
Yeah.
He fucking walked out. I'm gonna tell you now, fuck anyone who is gonna steal this idea from us and do a fucking stupid comedy skit, because we created that shit. Thank you very much.
That would be great.
I'm gonna do it tomorrow. So what would do you have a kill that you liked, or did something kind of like stand out?
There was a couple good ones I liked. I liked where he just, I think it was the guy in the radio room that he just sprayed blood all over the place. It was just the whole room was just covered in blood and guts. Yeah, it wasn't the radio room, like the what do you call it?
The control room?
Yeah, the control room. There was just blood and guts everywhere all over there. He just murdered the hell out of that guy, and I liked that. The whole Disney princess thing was fun. It was kind of an obvious shot, but it was fun still. And the end of this, I won't spoil, but they setting it up for a sequel if it makes enough money. Which I have to imagine this probably made a little bit of money. So they'll probably end up doing a sequel to this, and we'll see where that goes.
Yeah, we're pretty harsh here, and I am pretty harsh here at the Jump Scare Horror Podcast, and I really don't, besides the timing and the makeup, and that's just me when it comes in regards to the makeup, people on like Rotten Tomatoes or like IMDb, like the rating is insanely low for this. I think it's like 1.5 like stars, and I think that's pretty harsh considering it could have been so much worse.
I've seen way worse movies than this.
For sure.
What was that one we watched recently? Where it was in Europe and they kept playing the same music over and over again, and
I don't know, but we definitely have seen way worse than this one. So, kudos to you. What are you gonna? It was a fun movie. It's a fucking gimmick. So don't even go in thinking you're gonna watch like the best horror movie ever. You know what you're getting into.
Now this was written and directed by Stephen LaMorte. It was also co-written by Matthew Garcia Dunn, and this Stephen LaMorte had also worked on You're a Mean One, which was the horror movie version of The Grinch. So this guy's obviously kind of got a thing going here. Stick with it. I just wish one of these things they would come along and give them a little bit more of a budget. I think maybe they're a little bit afraid, like we give these people too much money, they're going to go too crazy with it, and then Disney is going to come after us for some way. That as long as we keep these things to a few $1 million, it won't go crazy. But if we give them $20 million to make one of these things, Disney's going to go crazy. And I could see that, I guess. That might be a legitimate fear.
Yeah, I could see it too. But, if Blumhouse wasn't out here and they never existed, who knows what kind of horror we'd be watching. And I'm not saying I get people are over Blumhouse's films, they're like, oh, another, whatever. But hey, at least you're getting some kind of content. I mean, I remember the days where there were years where there was like barely any horror or any like substantial horror. Yeah, horror movies were coming out straight to video, but like I wasn't the one to like really watch those like indie films.
Sleep Stalker 4 or whatever it was.
Yeah, no, I was never that horror like girl that was just like I just want to watch every single thing, and there's nothing wrong with that. Especially when you have like, oh, what are you watching? You got two channels. You have no cable.
Yeah.
Am I watching the religious channel, or am I watching like
the sports channel?
The sports channel, or the one where they sell like the shopping network.
Oh yeah, QVC.
So this is what I got. I'm gonna go take my whatever. I can't even remember what it costs to even rent a fucking tape.
It's usually about $3.
I was gonna say $3.75.
Throughout most of my life, it was, Hastings had the $2.99 for the new releases. And actually, they did theirs twice. During the week, the new releases were $1.49. On the weekends, they were $2.49. So you got a little bit of a break if you bought them during the week. And then they had like the catalog section that was like 49 cents to rent.
Yeah.
For the old movies, which you would see people come in and rent like 10 of those things because it's like, hey, for $5 we got 10 movies.
So if I rented it on Thursday and for that $1.49, when can I keep it till?
It was due back on Friday.
Damn, the next day?
The next day,
For one day?
Yes, that's what every single person complained about it there.
That is a fucking ripoff. What if I can't fucking see it on the day that I get it?
Then bring it back.
No, then I gotta rent it out again.
Yep, there you go.
But then you couldn't do anything because then you couldn't buy it because the freaking tape would be like $60, $80, $100.
Yeah, see, this was the thing that kind of killed Hastings was that they were used to opening video stores in small areas where, you know, they would go to like Poplar Bluff, Missouri, for instance. They didn't have a Blockbuster there at the time. They had little mom and pop video stores. They would order 5 copies of the new release, and you were fighting over them constantly. So then when Hastings comes in and it's like, hey, we're going to order 300 copies of Jurassic Park to rent. Well, hell, there's only like 3,000 people in Poplar Bluff. So almost everybody could come in and get a copy of it every night. And they were just happy to be able to see it. But when they started moving to bigger towns, people wanted to keep them for longer. Because when you're in a little town, it's not a big deal to drive to the video store because it's only a block away.
Yeah.
But they never caught on to that.
Well, you know, what are you going to do? Well,
they're all out of business now, aren't they?
Well, what is in business? That would be the question.
Not much.
That's true life horror. We'll discuss that in another episode. Never. So, so Screamboat gets a solid 2 knives from me.
That's what I was going to give it, a 2-knifer. It's good enough to watch and enjoy. Maybe hit the fast forward a couple of times on it. I know there's a horror writer, Paul Wilson, that he rates his movies on the fast forward scale. How many times he hit fast forward during the movie because he was bored. So it's a 0 fast forward. It's a perfect movie.
Damn. That's a pretty good technique.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would have definitely fast forward.
This would have like a 3 or 4 on the fast forward meter if I had to skip through some things.
Yeah, and not because it was bad. It was just like it just didn't need to be. We don't need a whole novel. Like,
yeah,
it's a rat killing people on a steamboat. You already took out part of the problem with killing, 20 people all at once. Let's get on with the show.
Get on with it. Well, it's like that movie. I kind of like The Million Ways to Die in the West. It's a fun enough parody of westerns, but it goes on too long. It needed to be cut down. I feel like most of the comedies and slasher movies, 80 to 90 minutes max.
For both the comedy and the slasher.
Yeah.
For the comedians, they're trying to get that another joke in. They're trying to get another joke, or they're trying to one up another. The horror, they're trying to bump up the kill count.
Yep.
So you both have them going in having these ideas, and it hurts the movie. Because it's just like who knows how much better it could have been if you would have just learned to edit. But that's one of the things you learn as you go along.
As you go along, less is more.
Yes, exactly.
The deal thing about don't wait until they tell you to get off stage. Go off stage before that.
Yeah, because I feel like if they would have maybe just somehow redoing the look of the mouse and then also maybe just shortening it, it would have gone 2.5 knives.
Well, here, my suggestion for this is they put a whole boat full of people on there. You didn't need it. It could have just been a crew of like 6 people that are on the boat to do work on it. And they're going to we got to take the boat's going to go from New York to Staten Island for one last trip. And then when it gets over there, we're going to, or they get to, the boat breaks down. This is the repair crew that comes on board and finds out, oh no, the reason it broke down was because the mouse killed the crew that was there.
I don't know.
Just a few people,
That's giving me like Aliens kind of vibes.
Well, there you go.
But okay, I see what you're saying. But then when do the titties come in, though, in that scenario? There's no titties. So you have to have the drunken princesses. Now, I was thinking, what if one of the crew, they're involved, or they're just having their flings? No, this is an overnight shift, so no one is really watching it. Maybe that's where the titty comes in.
Because every slasher movie, you had to show boobs.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? Let's show the man stuff, too. You know, it's 2025. Just show everybody stuff. You know, this is what's happening, and I feel like it elevates the horror movie. I don't know. It does. For me, it does. But that's because I watched so many of those movies growing up that I'm like, that has to be in a horror movie. It just has to be. I'm sorry.
Well, I think Joe Bob, doesn't he do a half-star deduction for no nudity?
I guess he does. And I also don't need my horror movie to be Academy Award winning. I'm not saying I don't appreciate, you know, a film like that, but I need to see something. We need to see some kind of, because I feel like I love to see the kills when the people, because it's the vulnerability of it all, you know? It's like, oh no, I'm naked and I'm having sex in a place that I shouldn't be having sex in, and I know I'm going to get caught. But unbeknownst
this time I'm caught by a killer.
Unbeknownst to me, there's a killer out there, so that ups like the whole like thing. And then when they get killed and they're in the middle of orgasm, is the orgasm taken to another level? I have so many questions. We're just never gonna know. But anyways, thank you so much for joining us on another episode of Jump Scare, the horror podcast. I forgot the name of the podcast for a second.
It is very late at night.
Stay tuned to the horror.
And now, folks, it's time to say goodnight. We sincerely appreciate your patronage and hope we've succeeded in bringing you an enjoyable evening of entertainment. Please drive home carefully and come back again soon. Good night.